We have Big Al in the building today. I absolutely
Hello.
love it. Welcome and thank you for being a part of our new Spotlight series. This is awesome.
Of course, thank you for having me. This is an honor.
No, it's an honor for me to be speaking to you. Give us a little bit of background on who you are, company, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm Alex Evelyn. I'm the founder of Big Al Management, aka I'm Big Al. It's the nickname the industry gave me. I run an artist development and full management company based here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Fire. And the first question I want to start with is who coined Big Al for you?
I always went by Alex Evelyn, and I was like, I want the industry to give me a nickname. Like, I'm not going to choose it. It has to be given to me. And I was in Atlanta. I was 21 at the time. I was at a studio, and I was just really excited to be there, like pitching ideas, helping kind of A&R. And someone said, it's Big Al. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And I was like, I don't know about that. And they're like, it's Big Al. And I was like, okay. So they kept calling me Big Al in Atlanta. And then it traveled to Nashville, and they would only introduce me as Big Al. So I was like, well, I guess I gotta take the name. Like, so when it came time to start the company, I was like, let's call it Big Al Management.
That's so dope. Yeah, because I guess for me, knowing you was reversed. Like I just always knew you was Alex, and then I saw the Big Al Management. I was thinking to myself, it's like, is Big Al short for Alex? I was like, I don't know. Like that's just kind of ambiguous, like who knows? And then when we were at whatever that networking thing is, he's like, yeah, Big Al. He's like, I'm Big Al. I was like, oh hell yeah.
I'm Big
Like,
Al. It was just so wild to me because I'm like this 5'6" short girl, and they're always like, yeah, Big Al's coming. So I see people like look past me because they're looking for like a giant man.
that's hilarious. So one of these days, you have to do the spoofs where people just walk around with a bunch of security. You're not even security, just like people dressed as security, and then everyone thinks like you got to do that one day. And they're like, oh my God, that's Big Al coming through. Like just set up like a whole crazy scene, like you about to sign some big client or something. It's like, nah, Big Al's coming in. And then,
Oh man, that would be funny.
and then it's you, and they're gonna be like, yo, what? So we got Big Al Management. So let's kind of backtrack prior to that. You were in Atlanta originally, and did you high school, college? What's the deal there?
I grew up in New York for about 13 years. Then when it came time for high school, we moved to Pennsylvania, and I went to a performing arts high school where I studied percussion. So I was like always performing. I was in bands. I was in a rock band, a country band, I was playing drums. So then when I was deciding on a college, I was like, I want to study audio engineering. So that's how I ended up in Nashville at Belmont. COVID happened junior year. So my dreams of being a production manager went out the door. Live production was gone. So from that, when I graduated, I started working at a radio station here in town. So I was a program director over there, and I did all the booking. I had a radio show myself. It was R&B, hip hop. The station is completely genreless. So from there, I started learning a lot about the industry, like all different sides. And a mentor kind of pulled me aside and was like, hey, I think you should be an artist manager. I was like, no, that idea doesn't sound too bad. Like, I didn't know much about it yet, but I was like, yeah, what is it? Let's try it.
That's fire. So you started off playing percussion. Was there ever a want or desire to do that professionally, or you always just knew that you wanted to be on the business side of things?
I think by the time high school was over, I was kind of burnt out. So I kind of lost the passion by the time it was time to graduate. I was like, I don't really have the same passion I have for drumming like I did before. I'm also an okay drummer. Like I'm not something like wow. So I was like, okay, I can't go to college for this. I'm like, it's gonna be so basic. I didn't have in my mind when I graduated that I wanted to pursue this. I found a new interest in audio engineering.
Can you still drum now though? Like if you need.
Of course, I still got my chops, yeah.
All right. I gotta make sure. Okay, so then the transfer to audio engineering is interesting. Obviously, that plays a big part into being a program director at a radio station. So I guess for the people who don't know, explain a little bit more of what a program director does. You said that you were responsible for booking, programming, and hosting the show. I think people kind of know what hosting is. But going to the booking and programming factor, are you booking artists to come do interviews? Are you kind of curating the playlist? Is that like what the programming is, or segmenting the show? Like what all goes into that?
Kind of like the general manager in a sense of the whole radio station. So each radio show was a different genre. So I'm constantly scouting talent coming into town or local town, and I'm like, hey, reaching out, are you interested in coming on for an interview? We'll also do a little acoustic performance. And then I'll get vice versa, like their team will reach out, say we have a new song coming, we'd love to promote. So that was like the booking side. And then the FM rotation, so you look at your charts, then you also look at, emerging talent. And because the station's independent, I didn't have to follow the rules of like only play what's on the charts, So it was kind of cool discovering new talent and really testing it out with our audience. You putting them next to Post Malone, who this artist may only have like 5,000 streams, but we like the song. We think it's a good song. My job was to help the audience discover new talent. That's basically from the booking to the playlist rotation to even the events we put on. Like we did some events at the Cowan and local venues, and I was in charge of booking the talent that performed and everything.
That's amazing. What was your favorite talent to book or favorite artist that you discovered during that time?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I literally saw like all genres every day at that radio station. So it was really cool. Like I'll discover a new rock band, or we'll have like rappers come in. I don't know. Like for me, I was just always surprised, like the talents that you didn't think would, be surprising or shocking to you. Like they had a really cool story. Their talent was amazing. And when they just broke down like why they made this song, it was like, oh wow, I'm a big fan of this artist now.
Was there anyone surprising in the fact that similar when people hear Big Al, they look for this big burly guy? Did you meet an artist and was like, holy crap, like you're way bigger than I thought, it way smaller, like all of that stuff?
You know what it is? So the show I was on was R&B and hip hop. And when we got a lot of the rappers, they come in with a posse, and like, for me, it was intimidating. I was like, oh my gosh, like, all right, let me get it together. And then they'd be the nicest people. Like most of the time they were shy. They were so shy and like nervous.
I hear that a lot, especially with the rappers. It's like, they come in mean mugging, all of this stuff. And it's fun. I remember one time I was in a studio session with one of my mentors who's an engineer. And then my mentor was like, sometimes you just got to mean mug your way to the top. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? He was like, bro, like you just got to come on, mug, head nod, and just keep it pushing. Like it's never really that deep. I was like, man, that's crazy. Because he's the same thing. Like he got face tattoos, a little bit big, all this stuff. But like the friendliest dude in the world. Like every time I was with him, we was always just laughing and cutting up. And I was like, yo, like this is nuts.
It was crazy. Like I would be intimidated, then they'd be the nicest people, and like everyone that we brought on that radio station the 2 years I was there, I'm still good friends with them to this day. So we go to the shows, we hang out, go get coffee and stuff. And I've even interviewed like some politicians. That was intense because you have like almost not the Secret Service, but their security is very intense, and they're in the corner of the station like staring you down, and like you have a sheet, you can't mess this up, you gotta be correct.
Yeah, you can't even sneeze wrong around them.
You can't sneeze wrong, but I definitely learned a lot about communication and building relationships, and it was key to me becoming a manager, honestly. All those skills I learned there is what I use today.
Hell yeah. So transitioning into that, like how much convincing did it take? Say, okay, like, yeah, let me give this a try.
Yeah, I mean, so I still had in my mind like production manager, because that's how I got into the radio station, was tech, and then I was promoted to programmer. So I had that in my mind. I was like, it's going to be live events in a sense, but I really love managing like the team and overseeing everyone. So it was just like, I started picking up all these skills that I wasn't aware of. So I didn't know the other side of management, especially with developing an artist. And I was just like, when he brought it up, I was open to it. And I was like, let me be an assistant manager to you and to other managers so I could learn about it and see if I actually like this or not. And then I just got the bug for it. And like, really, it was funny. A lot of artists who came on the station started reaching out to me to come on their team for creative rollouts. So that's how I started. While I was doing the radio, I was helping artists with their rollouts and then assistant managing. So that was like my 2 years.
Damn, that's really cool. You know, in our business, people bounce around a little bit. You know, I was at an agency now management, and there were some things that were tangibles and intangibles that I could take with me. But for you, that's really cool to hear what you were doing directly fed into the new gig and new opportunity, with the same people that you were already working with.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, from being a performer, drumming, I knew what it was like to be on stage. I knew what I wanted on stage to make me feel comfortable and prep. So I was able to translate to artists and be like, okay, hey, I have all this ready for you. Here's your stage spots. Me knowing tech, I'm there the day of their shows and I'm assisting on that and prepping. And then just being a programmer and seeing that world, I was like, hey, I know what song catches people's attentions, what they're looking for, what marketing we like to see when I'm being pitched artists and stuff. So it was like, I got to see all the different sides.
You're like Superwoman. I mean, what can't she do? Oh my goodness. Wow, you're literally an artist's dream. But I do think that's important because, I always kind of went with this philosophy of similarly, I've tried to do it from multiple different angles, right? Yeah. I don't think I was really any good at it, but I've tried to rap. We'll never let those be.
Most of the people who are on the business side, we're failed performers.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to rap. I have made beats before, all these different things. And I think, but for you specifically, like, especially on the management side, like, knowing what a stage plot is, being able to speak to how the audio should sound in different settings and different formats, like, that's really, really important. And you see that get lost a lot where, I think even some people who build venues and like don't even know, because you go to a venue and it's like, damn, it sounds like shit in here. You know what I mean? And
they get the stuff that looks nice.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, who was in charge of putting this together and how did they drop the ball on that? You know what I mean? So I think like for you having working knowledge and have been good at all of it in every aspect is super, super key to developing and building a successful artist team. And so I think kind of with that too, let's get into creation of Big Al management company. So what prompted you to then say, I'm ready to do this on my own?
I always say, like, if I knew in college I wanted to be a manager, I probably went the traditional route and like go work at a management firm, and stuff like that. But I was blessed to be able to work in the field and under great people and build up my network and skills. So when the time came for me to go independent, I was like, hey, I'm going to build my own company. I'm going to build up these networks, kind of reintroduce myself, like no longer as a programmer, artist manager. And honestly, I took like 3 to 4 months. I was watching interviews, reading books, picking so many people's brains, like bless everyone who talked to me those months. And just like really getting a grasp of what I wanted this company to be, what I wanted to provide, and like who are the artists and producers I wanted to represent. So I kind of took those 3 to 4 months and I was like kind of like isolated, learning everything. And then I was like, all right, let's do this.
Once you felt that, all right, the training ground's over, like I feel confident in everything, how did you go about finding the artist, or did artists reach out to, like you said, people already knew you, so did they reach out to you, or was it kind of you searching for people?
I was lucky where we kind of just crossed paths naturally. It was so weird because like I knew it in my head, like the type of artist I wanted. I was like, am I gonna have to sit on TikTok, go to every show? Like, how am I even gonna start this? So it was interesting. I met Issa. That was the first client I signed on to Big Al Management. She came on my radio show. A guest bailed the day of. And I reached out to friends and I was like, hey, do you know an artist that'll be interested in being interviewed on the platform? She came on. I got an email from a manager who like put me to contact. And she came on. She was amazing. Like, she had all this stuff going on. I didn't think anything of it. Next week, I'm in Texas running sound and helping another artist out, and she's singing BGVs. So we like connected there, and she starts picking my brain. I'm like, who's your manager? She's like, oh, it was a fake manager email account I made. And I was like, oh. She's a go-getter. She knows what she wants. Like, I was like, yeah. So we just started connecting and building out the relationship, and now it's been 2 years I've been working with Issa.
That's, literally, the more you're talking, the more I'm just like, it sounds like the movies and the TV shows and everything. It's like Someone with the fake manager account pretending to be their own manager and then actually finding someone who like knows. That's so sick, yo.
I like when she told me, I was like, that's genius. Because
Like,
I know
yeah.
how hard it is sometimes when an artist reaches directly to a venue or to a radio station. Sometimes it's like they don't get taken seriously in a bit. So she had picked up on that. So she was like, I'm gonna make my own manager.
We love it. We absolutely love it. Shout out to Issa, man. That's dope. How long did it take for you to feel comfortable, doing it day in and day out with her?
Well, I was, like when I made the jump to do this and start my own company, it wasn't like I knew all the answers. I was 100% confident. I just felt confident enough to take the leap, like enough of a foundation built. There's a lot of stuff, like every artist is so different and unique. You're constantly learning in management, especially with the industry constantly changing. You just have to be so ahead of everything. So when I started with Issa, like she's a producer, she's also an artist. So I was juggling 2 clients basically in one person. I was like, okay, you're producing for the sync world. You want to go to this level. Okay, Alex, you need to learn everything about sync in the next couple of days and start meeting all these sync representatives. So that was a goal. Like she told me her goals, what she wanted. We broke them down short term and long term. And then for the artist project, she was like, love to start performing. Let's start rolling out some music consistently. I said, okay, great. So we did that. It's kind of like development, like getting her comfortable on the stages, building up her chops on everything. And then when we felt comfortable, we were like, okay, let's take it to the next steps. Let's find you a distribution partner. Let's find you partners to keep elevating. So it was just all baby steps, but we all knew the long-term plan. So in our head, we were like, okay, we want to get here, so we have to do it this way. But I also want to make sure you're prepared.
I love how you segmented it all,
Yeah.
Hey, let's focus on this one area right now. We have the game plan for everything else, but we need to lock this down first and then get that done, move on to the next. And then, I think it probably even allows her and all of your clients to see where the progress is directly happening, right? Because I think a lot of times with management, where it's like, well, damn, we're doing stuff over here that maybe the artist may not be aware of, but, what they're paying attention to isn't, getting the focus and effort that they wanted on. But I think that fact that you're able to kind of break it down with them that way, then they can see like, all right, here is the areas where we've like already succeeded and made progress. And then now we're going to shift over to these ones, and it becomes more of a tangible for the artist to grasp and say, okay, like Alex is investing in all aspects of my career. And then you can point to exactly where.
Exactly. Like they are still the CEO of their company, of their artist brand. I'm partnering and saying, okay, let's take you here. It's just a partnership basically. And Issa, like, her being the first artist I signed, she was kind of the full package right off the bat. It was a lot. She models, she produces, she writes, she's performing. So I had to learn all areas of representing those different acts basically, and how to juggle it correctly and present it to the world properly.
What did you think was the easiest and the hardest aspect of it all to grasp?
I think, it was just finding a way to keep growing all those areas, but in a smart way. Because you could get excited, like, oh, the producing stuff is kicking off. Let's just only focus on producing. And then she could come back and be like, I also want to perform. And you're like, well, I put all my ideas onto producing. Now she wants to perform. So we're kind of starting from the ground. So it's constantly like balancing that and knowing, okay, this is a season for this is a season for that. And I always break down why we do it. Like every artist I work with, they can tell you everything about their plan, what's going on. So I keep it very transparent. I hate overpromising. I know a lot of people do that to artists. I keep it real with them. I'm like, hey, listen, we have a real plan. I am not just doing this, hoping out the luck you become viral. Like, no. If it happens, great.
Gotta have a plan.
You gotta have a plan. That's the biggest thing, like a plan. I get it, artists, you've seen the other artists do it and it's taking off, but everyone is different. You need to focus on you, understand what you're trying to present to this world. Who are you as an artist? And just kind of come off of that.
Yeah. I think a good manager, one of the top qualities you should have is being able to refocus your artists. I think reassure them that, hey, like they have something that works and something that we believe in that works, and just to find what angles to exploit that to the masses. And it doesn't necessarily have to just be a copy and paste model all the time.
No. And, a manager, you wear multiple hats, especially with an immersion act, and you're the therapist, bodyguard, you're the planner, you're, it's constant.
Speaking of just kind of some of the nuances in the workplace, when I asked, why you felt you'd be impactful in this position, I mean, obviously you're very talented and very smart, but you said that there aren't a lot of female and Black managers in space. You are a woman, you're a Black woman, you run the company, you have Black women artists, which is really, really dope too. So I guess maybe speak a little bit more about what it is like kind of navigating that. And do you feel that at times, because you are a woman like in the space, that like, sometimes when people pick up the phone, especially with Big Al management, they're like, oh wait, what the hell? Like what's that road like a little bit?
I think, I've always been used to it, like playing percussion. I was most of the time the only female percussionist. There was 2 of us for all 4 years. And then when I went and studied audio, there was like 5 of us in the whole program, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was very few. And then when I got into management, there's a lot of times in the room, I'm the only female. But I see the gap there when some managers can't understand, specifically female artists. They're like, well, I don't get why they don't do this or this. I'm like, well, first of all, you don't understand what it is to be a female, what we're thinking, and what it's like for us to get on that stage. So like, I think that's an area where I do come in and I can help for sure. Artists want to be able to speak to someone and feel understood. And that's a gap I feel that it's not that male managers can't do it. It's just some of them aren't aware of it. So, having a female in the space, having at least one female on the team representing a female artist helps a lot. It kind of sets the tone. And then, there's not a lot of Black female artists. I mean, Charlene, she's a great mentor. She's a great manager as well. But there's very few of us. So people want to be represented by people who understand the culture, who understand the message they're trying to give and stuff. So.
Absolutely. And do you feel that in the years that you have been in this space, can you see it starting to grow a little bit more, or do you still feel like, man, it's a long road uphill?
Oh no, there's a lot of up and coming female managers. Like, I'm not the only one out here. There's a whole bunch in this town, in LA, in New York. So it's really cool to see.
And it's so interesting because I feel like I always have such a skew view, like on the whole situation in a good way, is where like everyone I talk to is a woman. Like literally anytime, and I don't even do it it's like anytime I'm doing any sort of outreach or like trying to figure it out, or like everybody I know who's so dope and so talented are the women in the industry. And so it's like the girls got it on lock right now. Even when I was at my previous job, when I was at CAA, so I was in the brand partnership space.
Yeah.
And part of what I had to do was, once a quarter, I would put together this presentation of all the brand deals that we did. Because I always had to decipher through all of them and figure out, okay, what are the top 5 or top 6 that I wanted to display, like big and bold, 9 times out of 10, 4 of those 5 spots were the women. And so I was like, damn, the women are getting all the deals. It was cool that building also had like a lot of badass women agents and mom agents and and all of that stuff too. So,
even the executives at the labels, most of them are women here in town.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's really cool to start seeing that change and like having female leadership.
That's incredible. And so, I think we already spoke about this a little bit, but the skills and personal qualities that help you fill that niche, with the background in production, and how does having that background help you decide, what venues that you want to put your artists in? Does it help you in any way figure out what kind of equipment that you want people to use? Do you have more in-depth conversations with the front of the house teams, like, hey, yo, that EQ needs to be right here, or like don't compress as much on this song, and how does that help?
Yeah, it helps. It helps in a lot more ways than I ever expected for management. Like when I started, I was like, well, I have this degree now in audio. Cute. Let me put that on the wall over here. But no, it's in preparation for a show. Well, I guess I'll go back. When choosing a venue, depending on the city we're in, the goal for the show, because of radio, I know what it's kind of like to be a promoter and how to do a lineup. What are they looking for? So when I'm pitching to venues and stuff, I'm like pitching my artist for this because of this. It would be a great sell for your venue because of this. So, you know, like present everything. And then I guess like backline and all that stuff, it helps knowing the gear, because sometimes artists aren't aware of what they need on stage. They're like, it's just really loud, or I can't hear something. It's like, okay, well, can you cut this stuff out of her wedge or her ears? Can you take this out, add this stuff? So I'm able to talk to the engineer. I also know what it's like to be an engineer at a show, and working is very annoying when people are coming in your ear. So I'm always very respectful. I introduce myself and I let them do it first. And then if there's something where I'm like, hey, can you like get this or this? You know, I'll just tell them like, hey, she needs more of this or less of that. But I'm not like at the board, like, no, you move everything. Like, no.
No, turn the fader down. I said down.
So you don't compress her. Like, no, I'm not over there like that. That helps a lot knowing that. And, you know, I didn't do much studio work, but I know what it's like to be in a studio setting, especially as a female. So I'm very protective of like when that stuff comes up. And, you know, I'm even at the session sometimes. I don't mind sitting there or, you know, being the bully or bodyguard. Yeah. Like, you know, sometimes you have to do it. You just have to do it. You gotta be Big Al.
Facts, absolutely. We're gonna get you an actual like Big Al bodyguard one of these days.
You know, like that would be cool. Like my bodyguard's name is Big Al.
Yes, exactly. It's like, but then maybe we'll just call him Little Al. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Little Al,
Little Al, and then just come over and just like.
That would be great.
That's what's next up for sure. But back to the live portion of everything. Are you somewhat of a tour manager when because I know you travel a lot with your artists, which, you know, management doesn't always do that, but you know, you do travel a lot with your artists. So do you kind of take the role of a tour manager, or do y'all still have a TM, or, you know, if things continue to develop the way they go, like how do you see yourself fitting in that role, being that you do have so much expertise on all of these things?
In the early stages, again, managers wearing a lot of hats. You could be the PR person, you could be the tour manager, like you're the social media, you're everything. So like in the early stages, yes, I'm acting as a tour manager and like relaying directly to the vendor or like promoter, like, hey, this is what we're coming in with and everything. Issa just signed with a booking agency in the college market. My job kind of switched now in that lane where I'm talking to the agents and we're going back and forth. And they're handling a lot more of the show stuff and relaying it to me, and I relay it to Issa. So it kind of just depends, like in an artist's career, like where they are and stuff. Your role changes as the artist grows.
Absolutely. Do you see a scenario where, because you do have so much knowledge in all this, that you would want to continue to be on the road as much as you are, or do eventually do you want to be able to just kind of, you know, advance through the emails and stuff and just make sure you can keep eyes on everything from, you know, the house or the office?
I mean, it depends. Like, I represent 2 artists now, so I have Camille Parker. So there are some situations where I'm flying off one plane, going over here to her, then going to Issa, then going to Camille. Stuff like that, you know, gets very busy. And I don't think I would necessarily want to be a tour manager. I just want to stay as their main manager, point of contact. And every artist I represent, we're building them an internal team. So I can relate to their tour manager or their booking agent, like, hey, what's going on here? Relate to them. Just so mainly overseeing the artist teams that we're building. Like, I would stay there. I don't want to be so hands-on all the time where it literally slows down the growth of the artist.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be solid spotlighting if I didn't go ahead and plug in Nikki Sands, who was on the previous spotlight. You know, she's got her gigs company up and running, so
she is killing it.
Yeah, you'll be able to easily plug and play when you
I know
on the platform. Have you been on the platform, like as a manager, like looking for stuff?
Not yet. I've seen the platform. We've talked for a bit, so I'm excited for her. It's been cool watching her grow this everything.
Yeah,
now it's happening. It's so cool.
It's been a major way. Yes, shout out to Nikki. You mentioned in your written answer that you didn't study artist management and you had to fail a lot faster than your peers. Expand on that a little bit. Is it kind of one of those things like, yeah, it happened, just keep it moving, or what do you mean by fail faster?
Just like the lessons I had to learn, just again, in your mind, anything in the music industry, you can't just read on a book and then just go do it. Everything is so different and unique, and it's constantly changing. So like, we would have situations like we could stay in the live events, like thought the show would be great because it looked great on paper. When you actually get there, it was a whole different case. Or like you're working out this deal, you thought you had everything lined up, then it goes left. So there's just so many different things. You just have to learn and move on, like, and just take the lessons. And I think, some stuff you could learn in a book, in school, if you're more in that mindset. But again, every month it feels like the industry is changing. Like even when I talk to my older mentors, you're like, well, I didn't have to do that in my day. Like this is a whole new world for you guys. So it's just like, you gotta just do it. You gotta be open. You gotta keep learning, stay ahead.
Yeah, that sounds like parents with math. Yeah, remember when you tried to get your kids like, yo, this isn't the math I learned.
This is new math. I'm like, what's the same numbers? Like,
yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? These numbers have never changed. I know, I don't know. Like that. I'm like, yo,
I do that.
There's no way the math is changing that frequently.
It's just so crazy because it's like, you're in this weird spot. You're like, I'm going to my older managers. And they're like, well, they saw when streaming and everything came involved. I started when it was prime time with streaming. So like, it's just so unique. And then COVID happens where no one ever experienced that. So like, everything changed after that.
That is true. And I guess with that, with staying ahead and kind of setting the stage for what's to come next, anything that you're doing now that you hope will set the precedent in your space for the future, obviously being Big Al and owning the management company is super amazing. But is there anything else that like you're super excited for that's on the horizon that you think hopefully will inspire not even the next generation, but even your peers around you to keep doing their own thing as well?
I think right now with the company, I'm very excited. I have 3 clients total. So I have Issa, she's alternative R&B. She's Costa Rican Russian. She has Spanish in her. And then I have Reed, who's this killer in the hip hop pop space as a producer. And then Camille Parker, who's like Southern pop. So I've hit all genres now in a sense, but not your typical way. When people think country, they think of a certain look or a certain sound. Or when they think R&B or a producer who does hip hop. So I got what I wanted to do with this company, and I'm keeping music at the top of it. Like, it's the music at the end of the day. I'm nurturing these creatives and artists to create the amazing music that caught my eye. So it's cool to like switch to flip. A lot of it's like, well, they gotta have this TikTok numbers and this streaming numbers. That will all come. That'll all come. But you need to develop the talent. So I'm really excited about that right now, what I'm doing. And I don't know what the future of Alex looks like. It's been such a wild journey here, from drums to audio to radio. So, I love management. I don't know. I definitely want to keep building this company, building out my team. And yeah, the roster, working with more managers, bring on managers to the company and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like the foresight for the future.
Yeah, because I guess we didn't speak about that. So obviously it's your company, but it's just you right now. You're doing everything.
Just me.
Okay.
We holding it down. We have interns, but it's just Alex.
Just Alex, just Al, man. If you got real talent, come sign with Big Al. We love it. Hold it down. She knows it. She knows it all, man. What else could you want? So yeah, well, I guess with that, I appreciate the time. Can't wait to share this story with all the other friends and colleagues, and keep doing your thing. I'm absolutely a big fan, not the biggest out there. So
thank you so much. Big fan of you as well. I'm always rooting you on.
Let's do it.